Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently departing the ISS and we need to deorbit this Soyuz. We have another Soyuz to do after this, of course, and let's see if we can get the design process of that component done this episode. That would be ideal. We're going to bring this on down, of course. We've got lots of fuel in this thing. We're going to bring this on down to about, in fact, we could even be assisting with some monoprop here, in theory. Is our monoprop working? I'm not sure it is. But at any rate, it doesn't matter. If the monoprop is not actually being affected there, it's absolutely fine. We're going to bring this down fairly quickly here. I'm not going to target a super steep descent because we haven't done testing on the Soyuz to determine exactly how steep we can go. It's probably pretty steep. To be honest, minus 60 is probably fine on the Soyuz. I mean, we're going to be having a heat shield here and then the ablation on the pomegranate itself. In theory, that's probably fine. So I guess we'll just keep burning here until we're at that negative 60 marker. We are about 1 kilometer away from the space station here, and we're going to need to put in that component that goes at the bottom here. I'm wondering about size. I don't think that this service bay is going to do the trick, if I'm honest. We'll see. But I'm guessing a no on that one. So we're just continuing to decelerate here. It's going to be an interesting design process on that, to say the least. But we're going to be ditching our Soyuz propulsion section here fairly soon. But we still need it for now. This is definitely faster to deorbit than a Falcon 9, no doubt about that. We're about to exit the sphere of influence of the ISS. There it goes, unloading. Fantastic. And let's bring this down to negative 60. Cool. So right about negative 30, 40, 50 now. Okay, a little further. There, that'll do. So we do not need to have the remainder of this here. I'm wondering how much battery charge we actually have available here. We've got a Probonobodyne Octo 2 in here. We've got the pomegranate itself. Only 55 electric charge. I am thinking we should retain our solar panels until shortly before we hit atmosphere. I'm going to eject them at about 100. We are going to go behind the planet fairly soon, so we will lose access to those, but that gives us a lot more electric charge. Yeah, that's a lot better. So ejecting them about now seems good. Oh, I see what happened here. There were parts clipped together there. It's fine. It's absolutely no problem, in theory. We'll go to surface velocity minus, and yeah, having this awkward array of docking ports here is not ideal, but that's fine. So 70 kilometers there, and inward we go. We should be seeing our propulsion section burning up in the atmosphere-ish. We'll see if it survives or not. We probably shouldn't have this here. we should be doing our parachutes first. Double checking that that's the drogue chute. Yes, it is. That looks solid. And we are currently still increasing our surface velocity. We should have a lot of drag here very shortly, though, for our mass. Okay, we are beginning to decelerate now, and we can see solar panels burning off up there. That is expected. Beautiful. So we have a lot more drag than this does, that's for sure. Kaboom on the other solar panel. We're still moving at about 2,300 meters per second, but this looks like a water splashdown, which is not necessarily ideal for a Soyuz, but, you know, whatever. It's absolutely fine. Down to 2 kilometers per second. This may end up being spicy, but I think we'll be fine. 1.7. 1.6. Yeah, we see those G-forces coming up. It'll be okay. We have no problem here whatsoever. So that's absolutely fine. I'm A-okay with this. 1,100 meters per second. We are down below 1,000 meters per second. Easy peasy. Beautiful. Drogues out. I'm going to physics warp from here. Mains out. And this will be no problem at all. 300 meters per second right now, and chute's continuing to decelerate us. Yep, no issue with that return trajectory whatsoever. Beautiful. So this should be a very uneventful return at this point, and the question then becomes, how do we do the pre-shuttle here? Well, I do want to take a quick look at what that ends up looking like. We are going to be splashing down here fairly soon. Okay, so this is delivered on a Progress vehicle, not on a Soyuz. That is actually... yes. That is a good thing. I mean, it is a Soyuz, but it's an uncrewed vehicle. We can definitely work with this. Cool. So do we have a Progress vehicle created, or are we just going to base that off of our Soyuz? We may or may not have one, but we don't need to have it be crewed. Although it's going to kind of be crewed, but we're not going to actually have a crew in there. We just need a, like, circular ball shape, and that'll be fine. So here we are splashed down, and we will recover our vessel. We'll need to get our payment for this, of course. And I think this is going to be a fairly easy build here. I'm just wondering right now about docking port directionality. So we can take a look at that as we get loaded up here. Let me hop on over here. So this is what it looks like. We can see that this is a diagram of it attached to the Progress delivery craft. It looks to me like it's just got a docking port on each side here, and then one at the end here, and then possibly one down here. So like a 6-sided docking port sort of thing. That's absolutely fine. We can do that. So no problem whatsoever there. We're actually still loading in, remarkably. Sure. Okay, there we go. So we have loaded in. We need to get our payment for the MLM mission. So let's do exactly that. Fantastic. And we'll hop into the VAB. Let's see if we already have a Progress craft or if we need to modify one off of our existing Soyuz. It's going to be very, very similar, I think, ultimately, because of the way that we need to put this together, but we're going to have this be uncrewed. So our Progress vehicle would be, if we had one, somewhere down here. We don't appear to have one, so I'm going to have this be a Soyuz-based vehicle. We do not require a launch escape tower on it, so I'm going to get rid of everything up here. In fact, I'm thinking here about how we want this to be structured. I think I'm going to completely rebuild it from here. So we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to have, first things first, a remote guidance unit here. We might have this be like a medium-sized remote guidance unit. I think that's about right. Yeah, that's about right there. So medium-sized remote guidance unit. I do want to have some amount of RCS and some amount of fuel on this. We're going to need 2 solar panels. I do want to have perhaps a spare battery here. So like a 2.5K battery, something like that. That'll be plenty of battery charge. Now I want to have some monoprop. 750 is too much. A 400 will be absolutely fine. We'll put in our command and control pods here. So we'll do like some RCS thruster blocks. I'll just do a grouping of 4 of them. Something like this. Then we'll have a fuel tank here. And this is intended to be, in terms of size, it's obviously not a Kerbal. We're not at 2.5 meter. I think we're at 1.875 meter. So that would end up being like this size. Yeah, something like that. I want it to be about the same length as this, so probably like this guy. That'll be okay. And this could be like gray and orange. I guess that's fine. We can't change the coloration of this monoprop, sadly, but that should do. Then I would like to use an adapter here to adapt this in the up direction. This should adapt up to a larger size. So something kind of like this. We can have that be like gray and orange, and then this would end up being, I'm just wondering about that overall size, right? Yeah, okay. That should be reasonably fine. We would then have this be like a poodle engine, I think would be the correct engine size for this. So that would be something like that. There we go. And do we want this to be a quad poodle or a single poodle? I think we're going to go for the quad poodle for this. And then we're going to need to have some extendable solar panels, right? These don't need to be anything fancy. They're not really going to be recoverable either. This is going to be an expended vehicle, I believe. Is the Progress craft recovered? I don't actually know that. Let's find out. So the Progress module here, a Progress spacecraft hopping over here. This is an expendable cargo spacecraft. It does not carry a crew. Yep, it is classified as crewed because it can be boarded while docked, but that is reasonably fine. This component here is being replaced for the Progress, and that is fine. So this is expendable and is not recovered. Okay, gotcha. That's absolutely fine, and we can work with that. So this up here is going to have a docking port. And I think we're going to go with a docking port junior size here, although maybe this one should be a larger docking port. And then that gets duplicated, and then we would put on our pod here, which this is going to end up being like a KV3 pomegranate, something along the lines of this. But we're not going, we're using this as just a circular module. We're not going to have that actually be crewed. Okay, so now I'm thinking about having our docking ports be a large docking port here, and then these be small docking ports out this way. So it would be something about like that. Or so. Now we're going to need solar panels here, and I think 1x6s are maybe a little too small. We could go with the 1x5s. They're a little too big, but I think that these are more accurate. So it would be something kind of like that, right? That seems reasonably okay for our Progress module. Now we're going to need to connect this up. So first things first, I'm going to take this fairing off. We're going to take this decoupler off, and we're going to go for a larger TD25 decoupler. This fairing is going to have to be rebuilt. So we're going to need to build this fairing to be out over here. Something about like that would be our fairing. And that should be reasonably fine. So this is going to be the Soyuz Kerbal. Is that how that's spelled? Double checking how that's spelled. Yes, that is how that is spelled. Okay, fantastic. So that's okay. We've got propulsion, we've got monoprop, we've got power. We should probably have this be strutted together a little bit up here. And then if we want to, we can always re-strut that at the station. I'm not sure that it's going to be strictly speaking necessary, but something like that would be obviously fine for right now. And we would just launch something like this. I think we're actually completely fine to launch this right now with our Progress craft. I'm not thinking of anything else that we would be lacking here. We would not want it to be crewed. It's all currently empty. Okay, perfect. So we would save this, and we launch this from the Woomerang launch site. And that should be fine. We should be able to MechJeb launch this without any problems. So the question is, can we get this to the station by the end of the episode? That would be a very convenient timing. No doubt about that. I think we'll see how it goes. So let's get this loaded up to the Woomerang launch site, and we'll get everything set up here. But if we can get it there, that would be amazing. We'll have more than enough Delta V, of course. But this is, I think, a slightly heavier payload than our normal Soyuz. But it should be more than powerful enough. I don't think there's a problem here. Okay, so we are, of course, going to be targeting our ISS. Hopefully we're not going to be too wiggly. But we'll set the ISS as our target, launch into plane of target, launching in 4 hours. Okay, we'll engage that autopilot. And actually, are we going to run out of power in that time? No, I don't think we will. We'll be okay. We will have a bit of a lack of electric charge, but I think that we'll be absolutely okay here. If we were going to run out of electric charge, of course, that would necessitate a launch tower, but it's not necessarily going to be a thing here. We've got plenty of juice. No problem whatsoever there. So that'll be fine. We're going to launch to target plane now. So off we go. Those tiny little SRBs giving us that little bit of liftoff boost assistance. Hilarious. Roll to azimuth is very peppy. We're seeing some bending there, but it looks like it got under control. Okay. Let's lift this thing off. We've got about 55 seconds until our side boosters go away, of course. That all seems absolutely okay. There was definitely some instability there, but, I mean, our Delta V is plenty good for this. Like, look at all this Delta V. Technically, I didn't double-check the staging. We should probably do that. So, let's see what we've got here. That's all reasonably fine. I don't know what these decouplers are here. That's slightly spooky. I'm betting this is the pomegranate. Yes. That should be moved out here and moved up like this, and this should be combined together in the 2 stages, about like that. Okay, that should be everything good to go as far as staging goes. We're going to have our side boosters detaching in about 15 seconds here, and that will, of course, create a period of instability. But that's okay. All we need is enough speed, right? So it should be fine. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, there they go. That shouldn't have required 2 stagings, but sure. So yeah, we're definitely seeing some bending going on here. This is a wiggly rocket, no doubt about that. This is a wiggly boy. But that's okay. All we need to do is get pushed up through the atmosphere here and utilize as much of this fuel as we can, right? So that'll be a useful thing to do. And we'll deploy this fairing once we get a little further up here, but we definitely have some spinning going on. We have some wiggling going on. This is all reasonably fine. I'm not too concerned about that. MechJeb should have that reasonably under control here. All we need is the horizontal speed. I'm going to ditch our fairing here so that we can see a little bit better what we've got going on. We don't need to carry that weight anymore. We are through enough of the atmosphere. So the fairing is gone, and yep, we can definitely see some instability at this joint and this joint, which isn't super shocking. But we're just going to burn out a fair amount of fuel down here, and that'll be fine. We've got so much fuel in this thing, it really doesn't matter. No doubt about that. But this roll is definitely a little awkward. I'm not too concerned about it, though. We're in a decent spot to burn here. We'll make it into orbit, no problem. Target altitude of 300 kilometers. It's fine. We're going to be out of atmosphere as of, well, another 1.5 kilometers here. Our apoapsis is not very high up, but our vertical speed is really low. Our horizontal speed is actually quite high, and that's a good thing. So there's our solar panels deploying. And our apoapsis is still only about 78 kilometers, but that's going to start going up very quickly now. We're basically at orbital velocity. Whoa, okay. Things spun around very awkwardly there, but that's fine. 3, 2... Okay. So I'm keeping an eye on how much fuel we have left here and our apoapsis. I'm going to ditch this stage. We've only got 2 seconds of burn time left on it. So goodbye that stage. Let's get this more under control. Fantastic. So at this point, we're doing our circularization. I'm actually going to disengage the autopilot from here, and I'm going to remake this from scratch. Let's put this in kill rot and get this rotation under control. And from here, we're basically at the ascending node. Okay. Let's see about rotating around to the normal vector. We do have a reaction wheel in this, so it'll slowly make its way around there, but we're apparently struggling a bit with that. Yeah, I think we're going to need to make our way around to the apoapsis here and do this burn and then make our way to the periapsis. That'll be fine. We need to get the rotation under control, and we can do that by just doing this. There we go. No more rotation, and let's align to the node. Physics warping that turn. It's going to be a fairly slow turn. We have a lot of mass in this right now. Like, look at how much delta V we have right now. We have 5,000 meters per second. This is so hilariously overbuilt. But it's all fine. So we'll align to this burn, and this will get us into a roughly circular orbit. Then we'll do our inclination change, which is about 2 degrees. That will be fine. So let's just warp on around. Should be no problem. Are we full on electric charge? We are. Beautiful. So no problem whatsoever there, and we shouldn't have any more attitude issues at this point. We should be reasonably solid here. So we've got about 40 seconds until this burn. 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. This will be a 26-second burn, putting us into a proper circularized orbit here. And then we'll do an inclination change burn after this, followed by a rendezvous burn, followed by a braking burn. But after our rendezvous burn, I'm going to be ditching this stage. We don't need it anymore. We've got more than enough delta V. We don't need to bring it with. Beautiful. We're just going to the ISS after all. And then deorbiting. Okay, so this will do as far as getting us into orbit goes. And then for the descending node here, I want to get our inclination fixed here, just 2 degrees. So nothing too major there. We'll align to that node. And let's warp our way on up there. Reaction wheel is struggling a bit to get us up there, but it'll work a lot better once we ditch this fuel. This is a huge amount of weight for this reaction wheel. We could also turn on our RCS, which would help, but we don't need to do that. So we'll get in position for the inclination change. About right here. Beautiful. And we're just going to warp that extra little bit. 40, 30, 20. Okay, I missed it a little bit, but that's fine. We don't need to hit this perfectly. It just needs to be good enough. 3, 2, 1, 0. Good enough. Okay, so that should put us at 0.0. Looks solid. How would a rendezvous burn look? This is not going to be good timing, obviously. But what do we got going on here? That is not bad. Cool. So something about like... Ooh, hang on. I do not want the inclination change in there. I was just trying to change the timing on this burn. Something around here should do. 9.4 kilometers is easily correctable. Okay, so 63.2 meters per second will align to that node very, very slowly. In fact, you know what? At this point, I'm going to ditch this stage so that we can turn a little bit more quickly. Okay, that would have been our fairing. And now we can definitely turn more quickly. So much better. Beautiful. Cool, so 63.5 meters per second here, and we're going to start that burn in a little bit under 2 hours. Let's warp on forward. 1 hour, 30 minutes, and about 1 minute. So 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Only about a 3-second burn here. And that should put us pretty close to the ISS. Not exact, but definitely pretty close. That is going to be 16.8 kilometers. Okay, so we're going to want to warp to about here. We'll switch over into target mode. I want to be at... What's this relative speed? Okay, relative velocity up. And we're going to go into target mode here. There we go. Looks good. So we're going to need to do a bit of a velocity change. We'll need to do a corrective burn here. This is the target out this way. I want to burn about here or so. Whoa, that's peppy. Okay, once this gets on, we have a lot of attitude control, but we don't before then. That is noted. I'm okay with tumbling around to relative velocity minus right now. That is completely content, or rather, I am completely content with that. And that seems good. We do see that this is currently a target separation of 20 kilometers, which is a lot. We're just a little ahead of the station. So really, we want to burn towards the station here. Okay. We'll just move this around, and I'm going to burn towards station. We're just in a slightly awkward position here, it looks like. So, yeah. What's our next rendezvous point? Oh, that's out over here, 1.2 kilometers. Never mind. Relative velocity minus, and we're going to want to meet up with it over here. We just had a slightly awkward rendezvous point up here. This was our target rendezvous. So that's absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever there. Okay. So we are going to be continuing to warp together here. We're in a decent position here. I'm going to bring us a little closer to somewhere around 5 kilometers out or so. Maybe like 3, actually. Okay, somewhere around here. And I'm going to begin a slight deceleration, but also a slight corrective burn. Kill rot, please. Okay, so somewhere around there looks good. 2 relative velocity minus, and that is now 0.1 kilometers at a differential of 40.8 meters per second. No problem whatsoever there. Let's physics warp, but we are loading in the station right now, so I'm going to drop the physics warp as soon as we are loaded in. Okay, we're trying to drop the physics warp. There we go. Beautiful. So 40.8 meters per second isn't a lot of meters per second, right? But we need to attach this guy correctly. Do we have the correct docking port there? You know, I think we don't. I think we have a small docking port there. But we can swap that. Well, no, we can't. We don't have any crew up here right now. We might have to leave this here and send up the second Soyuz, which would be a doable thing. I mean, that's probably how it worked in reality, almost certainly. So that is fine. We could do it that way. So we could just dock this guy up and leave it here and then undock it once the Soyuz gets here and we can get it swapped around. But I want to double check the docking port types once we get into a little bit closer range here. So we only need to be about 400 meters out here, about here or so. I'm going to begin our braking burn, bringing this down to about 5 meters per second. We don't have much frame rate right now. The game will be restarted. Okay, about 2 meters per second. That seems fine. Let's hop over to the ISS real quick, and I want to check specifically down here. Yeah, that's a docking port junior. So I think our plan is going to be that we're going to temporarily dock this here. I suspect. However, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we'll get this thing docked up, and we're probably going to send up our Soyuz to finish up this module over here and get this all attached up. We'll definitely need somebody here to do some Kerbal construction, which is fine. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kentogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.